Hello and welcome. This is Bilal Bhatt and you're watching ETV Bharat. We are just a day away from election results 2021 conducted in four states and a union territory. Amid the virulent pandemic which has left millions of people sick across the world, including India. We have with us Professor Sanjay Kumar. Professor Sanjay Kumar is a political analyst, psephologist, and he is currently director for Center for Study of Development Society, CSDS. And his core area of expertise and research is electoral politics, and that's why we're going to discuss with him about the election projections which have come yesterday. Professor Kumar, you're welcome to the show. So we had
Thank,
elections in Assam, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, and the longest ever a state has ever witnessed is West Bengal, where elections were completed in 30 days in 8 phases. And you have, through your writings, been very critical of this phenomenon of conducting elections in 8 phases. So, do you believe if the elections were conducted in lesser phases, it would have reduced the kind of violence and the bloodbath which West Bengal experienced?
uh, Bilal bhai, my personal belief is that why do you hold phased election? Phased election is organized or planned so that you allow sufficient time for security forces to move from one place to another. So you need a gap of 3 4 days between different phases of election, and you hold elections in smaller number of constituencies so that adequate number of security forces are deployed. I think uh, when initially this was planned, maybe say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was a good planning. But as one institution makes a planning in order to curb the, good bad element, they also plan. So I think what is happening is that uh, the time which is given between one phase to another phase, the time is also used by the anti-social elements for their movement. So security forces moves from one place to another. Anti-social elements also move from one place to another. So I think I'm not against the phased election, but I think too many phases is not good for holding election. Not It's not a good planning.
Anyways, the ruling party in West Bengal had different take on conducting the elections in 8 phases, though last 3 phases were difficult because of the corona pandemic. Anyways, now let's move, Mr. Kumar, on to the poll projections, and clearly shows that left will continue to rule Kerala, and BJP-led NDA will make comeback in Assam. DMK-led alliance is going to basically win in Tamil Nadu, throwing away AIDMK. And also, there are some projections which are differing in West Bengal. Some are bringing Mamata back to power, and some are undivided, and some are giving it a mandate, fractured mandate. So, can you share your thoughts about whether the trends which have been made released, which have been made public, are in line with the CSDS?
So you have mentioned about the four states. I think there is a unanimity among the pollsters. I have not looked at all the polls. I have not looked at all the data because there has been lots and lots of forecasts. Maybe about 10, 12 uh, organization, institutions, agencies, whatever we may call. They have all come out with forecasts. I think there is a unanimity about Kerala that left LDF is coming back to power. Whatever studies which we have done for our academic exercise, our studies are also on the same lines. We also think that LDF is sure to come back to power with a convincing majority. In Tamil Nadu, again, there is a unanimity that DMK is going to come back to power. The only difference is that some pollsters believe that DMK is going to register a very large, big victory, maybe in the range of 180, 190 seats. Some pollsters think that yes, DMK will come back to power, may not be in such a huge majority. Our studies also indicate the same, on the same lines, that DMK is going to come back to power. But my own sense is that a huge majority may not be with DMK. DMK will definitely get a majority, a comfortable majority, but not to the extent of getting 180, 190 seats. My own assessment would be, somewhere between. So they will get a majority, a comfortable majority. They should be ahead in terms of votes. If I look at in terms of vote, I think they are ahead by over AIDMK by say 5 6% vote. And in first past the post system, it becomes very difficult to project seats based on the vote share. But that's my estimate, and that's the estimate of all the pollsters. So no disagreement about Tamil Nadu. We move on to the eastern side, Assam. I think again there is a unanimity that BJP is coming back to power, but there is a difference. Some pollsters believe that Congress may do very well, though they may not be able to form the government, but maybe in the range of say 55, 60 seats. Some pollsters believe that Congress may not do that well and BJP might do very well. BJP alliance might get 80, 85 seats. So it's only about range, but there is a unanimity that BJP alliance is coming back to power. Our studies also indicate the same, that BJP is going to get a comfortable majority, a very comfortable majority. Uh, Congress has been able to do just a reasonable performance, maybe a vote share difference between the two alliance of say 4 or 5%, and that will convert into whatever seats. Different pollsters predict different seats even with the same vote share. So I'm just talking about the vote share. I think normally, I think the BJP should have a lead of about say 4 or 5% over the Congress Mahajot alliance. The only tricky question is about West Bengal. If you look at the various polls, not only polls, different pollsters are predicting different winner. Some pollsters think it is the TMC which is winning. Some pollsters believe it is the BJP which is winning this election. There are a few polls which indicate of a very tight contest. There are a couple of polls which indicate it's a very tight contest and it can go either way, because in a tight contest they see a difference of say 5 or 6 seats between the two alliances, the two parties, and the vote share is tied between BJP and the BJP and the TMC. We have also done our studies in West Bengal. My own sense is it is not a tight election. It's not that tight election which some pollsters have predicted. Uh, Personally, our studies does not indicate a BJP's victory. I think it is a TMC has an edge over BJP, but not by a huge margin. Maybe in terms of vote percentages, I think TMC should have an edge over BJP by say 4 or 5%, maybe in the range of 3 to 5%. If that is the lead for TMC, because these are also our projections, these are our estimates, that should give TMC a comfortable majority. They should not fall short of a majority if they lead over BJP by something about 3 to 5% votes.
So, what you are saying is West Bengal will go to TMC.
My own
But
sense is
since
that yes, West Bengal should go to TMC because my estimates indicate TMC having a lead over BJP in terms of votes. This is roughly in the range of 4 or 5% vote. And if in a bipolar contest, this is a bipolar contest, Congress, left, and IPF alliance has not been able to perform well. Whatever vote they have got, they have managed to cut into the BJP's vote. If they had not performed well in a sense, maybe in the range of say 16, 17% votes they are getting, and that has damaged BJP's prospects. And also, we should not forget that Mamata Banerjee remains popular. Most of the polls indicate that Mamata Banerjee remains a very popular chief minister. Most of the polls indicate that if you ask this question, who would you like to see as your next chief minister? In most of the polls, Mamata Banerjee is scoring very high, in the 40s, in the 50s. So I keep asking this question to myself. If so many people want Mamata Banerjee to be the next chief minister, why they will not be voting for TMC? Because Mamata Banerjee can be the chief minister only if TMC comes to power. These figures gives me a sense that TMC is coming back to power. It's not BJP which has an edge over TMC in West Bengal.
you're right, talking about this Mamata Banerjee's popularity, it is basically differing in the personality cult which basically has been campaigning against each other. Prime Minister Amit Shah, JP Nadda, and all the big leaders of Bharatiya Janata Party have been campaigning massively against TMC across the length and breadth of West Bengal. And Amit Shah's slogan, Ab ki bar 200 par. Will that slogan be closer to what projections are showing?
No, I have clearly stated that my own reading of West Bengal election is that BJP is not ahead of TMC. It is the TMC which has an edge, and I am repeating it again that TMC has a lead of roughly about 4 or 5% votes over BJP. If that is the lead, if we get to know on the 2nd of May, if that lead continues, if that is the lead which TMC is able to establish over BJP, that should give TMC a comfortable majority. If TMC gets a majority, there is no question of BJP coming close to 200 marks. There is no question of that. If we look at the different other polls also, there are a couple of polls. There's, I think, only one poll which has indicated a big victory for BJP, something in the range of 185 to 190 seats. But I think if you carefully listen to the statement by BJP leaders last evening on various channels during the exit polls, I think they have accepted the fact that they may be able to win election, while they were not very honest in saying that they are it's a tight election. They all believe that they are going to win election, but I think none of the BJP leaders said they are going to reach 200 marks. Some of them clearly said, "Oh, it is a slogan. It is to mobilize the party workers. It is to mobilize the voters." But I clearly uh, no polls also indicate that BJP is anywhere close to 200 marks, even though some polls indicate that BJP is winning election. But my own studies does not indicate that BJP is ahead. My own poll indicate that TMC is ahead of BJP.
And what are the major factors you think will contribute to their loss?
They're not losing. See, in a election, uh, if there is a contest between two three parties, one party will win, another party will lose election. But Bengal election should not be seen as if BJP doesn't come to power. It should not be seen as a BJP has lost this election. Uh, because even if BJP manages to get, say, something about 120, 130 seats, even something about above 100 seats, we should not uh, we should not discount the achievements of BJP. BJP had only 3 MLAs in the 2016 assembly with only 10% vote. Look at the performance of BJP. BJP, if BJP manages to get roughly about, say, 37, 38% vote, and that should give them about 100, seats. If that is the performance BJP is going to do when the votes are counted, if that is what we are going to see, it should not be seen as a defeat for BJP. It would be a very good performance by BJP, though they fell short of fell short of the majority.
True, since these poll results are coming at a time when the entire country is struggling with pandemic and starving of oxygen, and healthcare is completely in a way close to, it's crippled. And do you think that this pandemic has influenced the results, particularly in the last phases, setting aside the first 5 phases in West Bengal?
Uh, I don't think that the pandemic has influenced the voting behavior or voting patterns of the voters. In India, a large number of voters these days make up their voting decision much in advance. Even in West Bengal, almost, say, 40-45% voters have had taken their or made up their mind even before elections were announced. So, in such a situation, whether pandemic or no pandemic, I don't think that pandemic made any impact on the voting decision of the people. Uh, Even if you look at the turnout, because of the pandemic, because the way it was spreading after the fourth or the fifth phase, so we would have expected that the turnout would have gone down. The turnout also did not go down drastically. In a couple of phases, there were some slight decline in turnout compared to 2016. But the pandemic, the fear of pandemic was there. Yes, people were worried about pandemic, but I did not see any impact of pandemic on the voting, on the elections, because people were in the queue. The turnout figure speaks of people taking interest, coming out to vote, standing in the queue, and I don't think it has impacted the voting choices. People have voted for the party which they had already made up their mind. Some people do make up their voting decision on the last day, on the last couple of days, but they change, even if they have made any change in their voting decision, but that may not have got impacted only and only by the pandemic.
So obviously the poll projections show clearly, which you are also substantiating that Mamata is coming back to power, which means that anti-incumbency factor is not there. What are the factors? In fact, I was going through one of your write-ups. You have recently contributed to one of the largest dailies of India. where you are mentioning about the women vote bank, uh, which is primarily working well for TMC in West Bengal and also good for Tamil Nadu during the AIDMK time when Jayalalitha was there. So, how do you think this women vote bank has contributed to the victory of TMC, particularly the Mamta's bastion?
No, I still believe, and that is what makes me believe that why TMC is ahead of BJP, because our studies indicate that TMC, Mamta Banerjee, still has a lead among the women voters. And remember, this is the lead of something about 6 to 7%. And women are not in small numbers. Women voters are roughly half of the total voters. Roughly, say 48%, 49% are women voters, and 51, 52% are men voters. If a party has a lead of 6 to 7% among one community, and now I am referring women as a community, and the community which is such a large, which is half of the total voters, uh, that is what is giving TMC an advantage over BJP. If Mamta Banerjee had not taken that lead among the women voters, it would have been far more. It would have been very difficult for TMC to pull this election. While we are only speculating from the various poll or from our own studies, we don't know whether they have Mamta Banerjee is sure to get the victory, but these are estimates. Uh, so that is what. So the women vote still remains with Mamta Banerjee in West Bengal, not so much in Tamil Nadu. The kind of women shift towards AIDMK, which we used to see in earlier election. In this election, we did not find that kind of a shift in favor of AIDMK. It is more or less flat for different political parties, but women voters still remain with Mamta Banerjee. You also mentioned about the anti incumbency. Yes, there is some anti incumbency. There are lots and lots of indication of anti-incumbency because of two factors. One is about corruption. People do believe that this government is not honest. The government was corrupt. There were lots of corruption charges, and also with regard to people not being happy with the local party workers at the ground level. Uh, and that is why there is some anti-incumbency, and that anti-incumbency would bring down Mamta Banerjee's party TMC. Remember, they had 211 seats in 2016 assembly election. So they will lose roughly about 50 seats, 50, 40, 45, 50 seats. That's my estimate, maybe. So if they, and that loss is because of the anti-incumbency, it is not as strong as some people believe. But yes, there is some disenchantment or sizable disenchantment of the people with Mamta Banerjee, and that is why we see BJP growing in such a big way in West Bengal over last 5 years.
And this religious polarization is the main factor now, which is emerging as one of the reasons of coming a particular party into power. So this polarization factor, has it worked across the four states and union territory to the advantage of Bharatiya Janata Party, or it has gone against it?
Yeah, see, uh, BJP is not a serious player, was not a serious player in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So we should not even talk about religious polarization in Kerala and Tamil Nadu vis-a-vis BJP. Let's come to Assam. Yes, there is religious polarization, but parties don't say that you have to come and vote. A particular community has to come and vote for me. But the way BJP has been campaigning, BJP has been trying to attract the attention of the people that look what has happened in West Bengal over last 10 years. Over last 10 years, the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee has always given more importance to the Muslims in the state, even at the expense of Hindus. So if you keep campaigning, if you keep hitting hard on that, then people start giving serious thought about that, and that results in people getting divided into different camps. So all those people who believe that yes, Mamta Banerjee has not been fair to the Hindus in general. She has been more than generous to the people belonging to Muslim communities. This starts putting people into different brackets. So some people start shifting towards BJP, and some people start shifting towards Trinamool Congress. That is what happened in Assam also. And remember, these are the two states which has a very large Muslim population. Assam has roughly about one third of the total voters in Assam are Muslims, and in West Bengal also Muslims constitute roughly in the range of say 28 to 30% of the voters. So yes, people are when people are getting mobilized for one party to the other on some religious angles, but there are various other considerations also on which people vote.
Professor Kumar, when you're mentioning about Kerala, where you think that Bharatiya Janata Party is not serious, but it is the same state which has the highest number of RSS shakhas. Uh, Having highest number of RSS shakhas and then saying Bharatiya Janata Party is in a way not serious
No,
about that particular state.
no, sorry, I did not want to say that Bharatiya Janata Party is not serious in Kerala. I wanted to say that Bharatiya Janata Party was not a serious contender to power, not a serious, was not in a serious contest in Kerala. Uh, I'm not saying that they are serious in winning each and every state. Bharatiya Janata Party is not a party which contest election just for the sake of contesting election. We have seen that happening in the past. Look at a few months ago, the Hyderabad municipal election. Even that election, Bharatiya Janata Party contested with full strength. They don't want to contest any election, whether it is a by-poll, whether it is a panchayat election in UP or a municipal election in Hyderabad. So Tamil Kerala election also they contested with full strength. But the ground situation is still not conducive for BJP, to grow the way they have been able to grow in Assam or in West Bengal.
Yeah, Professor Kumar, just to basically a question which psephology as a subject can give answers to about the government remaining non-challenged to unprecedented surge in corona and keep doing the mass rallies till there has been a hue and cry through media or the pictures of dying corona patients in the hospitals, ambulances on roads, and this mass mindset, how does it work in such scenarios where there is a destruction, death, pandemic spreading across length and breadth, but still people keep participating in rallies? So, what is this basically? If psychology has studied this subject,
No, I think the stakes. I think the stakes were very high in West Bengal, and that is why the parties which had high stakes, the BJP and the TMC, no political party was ready to not to engage in public rallies because they both wanted to win election in West Bengal, and since the stakes were very high for the political parties, the loyal supporters of political parties were also remained very active in spite of COVID spreading so fast in Bengal and in other states also. But remember, the way political leaders kept campaigning when the large part of the India was getting devastated with this second wave of corona, that has not gone well in the minds of the people in the states or in the cities where people were suffering because of non-availability of oxygen cylinder, hospital beds, medicines, etc. So people have turned critical about political leaders, all those political leaders who were not paying attention to managing corona crisis, managing the hospitals, managing various other things related to people's life, but were busy campaigning in West Bengal. So that has not gone down well among the people who have suffered or the people who have seen these sufferings around their community, around their locality, around their society. But in Bengal, people still turned out to vote, as I said, because the stakes were very high. People, uh, in Bengal, people are very sharply divided in favor of Mamta Banerjee or against Mamta Banerjee. So both the supporters of Mamta Banerjee and opponents of Mamta Banerjee, they wanted not to lose their chance either to re-elect her or to vote her out. That is why we saw huge crowds on the day of polling also and also in the election rallies.
were the stakes perceived more important than the lives of millions? I mean,
No, I don't agree to that, but I don't know how political parties believe. I think election commission was also in a dilemma. Election process was on. I don't know. I don't think there were demands for postponing the election or cancelling the election, but election there were demands of at least clubbing the last three phases of election. Still, election commission was not in a position to take a call on that. So I'm not a. I don't believe that. I don't think that life of the people is less should be given less importance and elections should be given more importance. But I don't know how political parties feel.
Thank you very much, Professor Kumar, for speaking to ETV Bharat, and stay well, stay home, stay safe. Thank you once again for talking to ETV Bharat.